And we are live! What's up, people? We're here today with Jared, the freaking world-renowned tattoo artist and freaking just all-around awesome dude.
World-renowned, yeah.
World-renowned, yeah, heck yeah. Man, so I would just like to say this, man. You're my first tattoo I ever got, man.
I remember that,
this
man.
one. I've still got it. It's beautiful.
I've still got it.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it never fell off, and I'm pretty happy with it,
Oh,
dude.
good deal.
Heck yeah.
We'll just have to do another one soon.
Yes, seriously needs to happen very soon. But so much has happened with your career since then, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that was like what? Freaking over
Yeah.
1800s for sure. Yeah.
Back when I worked for old Jebediah Smith.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing this 13 years, and by the time I was working with Ben, where we did that tattoo, I think roughly about a year and a half, 2 years. So it had to be at least a decade.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Dude, yeah, I think I just turned 18.
He still looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's strange to me.
It
I look in the
is.
mirror and I'm like, what?
Oh, no. How old?
What?
Yeah. But, yeah, man, I got that tattoo, and the funny thing is like, I was kind of, I think I had talked with you already, like, a little bit, because I think y'all's shop had sponsored some...
Back when you were in Project Dark.
Yeah, y'all had sponsored some, like, concerts and stuff, and so I'd always, like, been like, I'm getting a tattoo from him whenever I can get a tattoo from him, and me and my brother were talking, and, like, it's funny, because, you know, sometimes, like, you think about getting a tattoo, and you're like, that's a great idea. And then, like, just a few months later, you're just completely a different person, or that's totally dumb to you now.
Yeah.
Well, like, Nick was like, man, I'm never going to drink again. I'm putting down other things that he might have been doing at the time. He was like, I think I'm going to get a straight edge tattoo with you, John. I was like, let's do it!
Let's go get drunk and go get tattoos. Hell yeah.
Yes. And, so yeah, Nick's got a straight edge tattoo on his ribs now. And I've got mine on my shoulder, so I think now it's just kind of more or less
Are
like...
y'all still both straight edge?
I don't really drink very much at all, but, like, you know, I like a little bit
not
partake.
Not at all.
Yeah, somewhat. So I would say that both of us have kind of definitely veered off the path of straight edge, but it's something now, like, we've kind of got it just, like, it's our bro tats, you know, so...
I got you.
I don't know. It's pretty good. Pretty good
Yeah.
stuff.
Definitely.
I definitely don't drink like I used to, but thank God, because it was ridiculous.
Drinking,
That's
man.
how I am. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a period of time where I was just like a fish. Just drinking everything all the time.
What is that?
Like freaking Natty Lights.
Ugh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. The worst.
All right, well, the show's over, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. And, no, dude, you know what? Like, speaking of, like, freaking bottom of the barrel stuff, whenever the Muse was around, they would always pay us in, like, 24 case of Pabst
PBR.
Yeah.
Oh,
They would
man.
That's how we got paid.
I have
No
such
money.
good memories of that place,
Just booze.
That was one of my favorite venues. I saw a video recently.
It was one of my
Just, like-
favorite to play as well. Not
Yeah.
necessarily. I mean, as well as see shows there.
Yeah.
Like
It was
that.
so, like, homey kind of, you know?
They actually had one of the better monitors
Mhm.
that I've used
Yeah.
drumming.
And they're-
Most of the other ones that I've ever played at, either I didn't have any guitar or anything in the monitor, so I couldn't hear what anybody else was doing.
Just your snares in the monitor just cracking every time you hit
Or
it.
like it would cut in and out or something,
Yeah.
and it just throws you way off if
Yeah.
you're playing drums. Like,
Well, man, so whenever you were in Bonacqua at the time,
yes.
and then you went to, like, I think Kentucky or
Close, Clarksville.
Clarksville, there you go.
Yeah, man. So before Ben opened up his studio in Bonacqua, we wound up going to a place called Midnight Oasis up in Clarksville to work with a buddy of mine named Ruben.
Yeah.
And worked there for about 2 weekends while he was essentially building out the shop. And then a year later, I hadn't even talked to Ruben since then. He gives me a call. He's like, "Hey, man, so we're shutting down Midnight Oasis, and I'm going to go work for this other guy over on 41A, and he told us to hire whoever we think we should hire, and I thought of you."
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
2 years later, I go from being like the low man on the totem pole to being the guy who owned the studio.
Hell yeah.
And so whirlwind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't remember but half of it, but yeah,
Nice.
man, I've been all over the place for the most part.
Yeah.
Nashville, Columbia, Clarksville, Murfreesboro, all that. I was out east for a short period of time,
That's cool.
and moved back and started working at Clarksville, which was probably the second biggest mistake in my career.
Oh, dang.
And now I'm back.
There you go.
So-
Yeah. Well, like, I've seen a lot of your posting on your Instagram and on your Snapchat and stuff like that of, like, the shows that you go to, and, like, I mean, I don't know, man. When do you feel like you made a huge jump? Like, was there ever a moment in your tattooing career where you're like, dude, that's good? How did I do this? Like,
sometimes I have a little issue with trying to be humble, and every once in a while, though, I'll still do something. I'm like, man, that really sucks, but I'm getting to where I think I'm getting at the right level, where I can understand I can maybe make an improvement in this tattoo, but I at least don't think it's shit like it used to be. Like, no matter how good it was.
Yeah.
But, nah, man, I'd honestly say probably about 5-6 years ago is when I started noticing, like, my last, jump, I guess you could say. And, yeah.
It's kind of cool, man. Cause like,
I was like, I don't know where to go with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just interesting to me, man. Like, I play guitar.
Yeah.
So just in the sense from, like, a guitar standpoint, like, I know whenever I first started playing guitar, I freaking sucked. But I had somebody that was like, that's so good. You're really good at guitar. And I'm like, over here dead fretting. Exactly. I'm like, thanks, Mom. And,
well, I mean, if it's your mom, she probably thought it all sounded like a dead fret. She was like, I like that metal, son.
I like that metal stuff. But,
my mom.
Yeah, sure. Well, yours is drums, so drums a little bit harder to tune out, You're over there like, brrr, and she's like, it's real good, son. But,
I mean, you can't go up to a girl and be like, let me serenade you right here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But, like, it's kind of just, but I know that there's been points in my, like, playing guitar where I noticed that I'm like, dude, I could have never played that before. Like, when did this happen, And was there, like, other tattoo artists that you learned from? Or is
Absolutely.
there just, like...
probably one of the very biggest influences as far as, I mean, not just art, but just how to be. It was actually Ben Parker, the guy that owned the studio out in Ben Bonnet.
Cool. Yeah.
We're still great friends. He lives out in Gatlinburg right now. But yeah, over time, man, I've met a lot of great people, like Jeremy Durkin, Ruben Rivera, like I was saying. Worked with them for a while, and they both, they taught me a lot. And not necessarily just art-wise, but, just how to be in the industry.
Yeah.
Not be a shitty person.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, dude.
It is
a pretty big deal.
John Knox and Steve Graves out in Murfreesboro. John Knox is the owner of Bright Ideas.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And he's the whole reason I even do cover-ups now.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he kind of gave me a trial by fire, but, like, to this day, if I've had a few people who have talked to John, and it's like, John said he couldn't cover it up, I was like, I don't even want to look at it then.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this guy was ridiculous. So... but yeah, man, I've met an awful lot of people who's been able to influence me over the years, and like the guy who inadvertently taught me how to do portraits didn't even do portraits, so you never really know where you're going to pick up these seeds of wisdom from people. So I mean, always listen to everybody, even if that person's a complete dumbass.
Yeah.
Broken clock's right twice a day.
So. Dude, there you go. Exactly. That's a good way of putting it.
Good saying.
Like. I mean, yeah.
Y'all never heard that before? Well, that's good, because I just came up with it.
Yeah.
Not really.
Trademark.
I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
But that, like, it's the truth, man. And, I'm a horrible artist, dude. I cannot draw to save my life. Like, if
that's just
to my
subjective,
head,
man.
Stick man is the best
Same
I
here.
got. But
I took 3 years of art in high school, and that sucked at everything.
I failed every art class I ever took.
yeah, dude, there you go.
Well, I was like, it's just drawing. I want to make good grades. And they're like, well, you need to study and figure out about all these old people.
Learn
I'm like,
about these guys.
no, I don't. I'm going to sit over here and draw Ninja Turtles.
Isn't that funny how, like, art is, like, something that is expressive and stuff and just creative, but they try to teach it to you the same way they're teaching history and algebra?
Yeah.
Like, what sense does that
It's
make
because everything is curriculum.
Yeah,
it's not
but
like...
It's insane to me,
Yeah,
dude.
it's stupid.
Yeah.
They're just stuck to their curriculums. They're not trying to be, actual teachers.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
My son's only in 3rd grade, and I'm looking at his homework, and I was like, geez, I already don't know what to do to help you, man.
Yeah. Havens into fractions, and I'm like, I forgot all about that.
Oh, dude, once he gets past division, I'm done.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I'm like right now, like,
Yeah.
so I've got a 1st grader and a 2nd grader.
Yeah.
And so my 1st grader, dude, I am a freaking genius to her. She's like, what's 16 plus 9?
Well,
I'm like,
Chloe.
Chloe, step aside, young lady. Let me show you how to do this. And I don't know, but Haven's over there like, what do you do with this fraction? I'm like,
What's a
let's
fraction?
ask Google. Yeah.
Hold on, let me take this cookie and cut it up a couple times and use a physical example for you.
Yeah,
but it's really for yourself.
Yeah. I eat half this cookie. Dude, Dude, so yeah, I don't know, but I don't understand how they do that with art and stuff like music and stuff like that. It's just school
music
systems
is
I
almost
feel like
dead
fail a
in
lot
school
of that.
these days.
Yeah.
Music
is just
Dude.
dead.
Well, like I know some people that are in like school band and stuff,
Yeah.
and they've got good cool concerts and stuff like that. Like, but I guess it's just looking at it from a musician
Yeah.
standpoint and just being like, well, that's cool what they're doing, or just like almost I don't know. I went to a family member of mine's. I think she's in like 5th or 6th grade, but
Right.
she's in band, and so like that year in band, there's a whole lot of like dead frets and like goofy. yeah. So it's kind of more like a comedic relief, but no, it's pretty cool. Like it's just they just don't teach these things correctly in school. I think like
Yeah.
where would you be at now? Do you feel like how soon would you have gotten to the skill set that you're at now if you had a proper like art teacher in your life?
Man, with the way I was as a kid, hell, as the way I am now, at times,
Yeah.
probably no quicker.
Probably no better.
Because I was classically trained as an oil painter when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah, my dad was like, if you're gonna be an artist, you're gonna be a real artist, and he
Yeah.
put me in a painting class,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I didn't fight against because I thought it'd be great. But then, I thought I'd just be painting pictures all day, and it
Yeah.
turned out we're going to paint landscapes all day. And
Oh my
once
God.
again,
Bob Ross style.
yeah, and I was like, I like comic books, man. I don't want to
Yeah.
let me paint Superman. I don't want to paint this little house in the prairie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, you need this proper technique and all this stuff, and, I rebelled against it.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
I'd have just given her the time of day,
Mhm.
I would have probably gotten a lot faster, but due to me, I would have
Yeah.
been any better.
I'm
Yeah.
the same way. Like
Yeah.
I hate
I
being
was doing school. I
taught
just-
something that I don't want to learn.
Yeah.
Really.
I kind of like. I don't even know that it's so much that I hate being taught something different. I zone it out. Like I completely, almost like am hearing them, but not in my my mind's just not registering. what
Because
they're
I
telling
tried to take drum lessons and I sat in for 2 lessons and then I was done.
me. You're like no.
I was
can't
like,
do it.
no, I'm not doing
Yeah.
this.
Y'all know Chris Lockbeeler, right?
Mhm.
We played in a very, very short-lived band, and you want to talk about somebody holding a bunch of people back. I held everybody back. It's like they were so much better musicians than I was. But me and Chris decided to get a wild hair up our ass one day, and hey man, teach me how to play guitar. Will you teach me how to play drums?
Yeah.
Well, I should have known drums was never my thing, because when I would write guitar parts, I was like, well, I have to hit the pedal here.
Yeah.
All right, we're back at it. So like the whole other idea of using your feet and your hands at the same time just wasn't happening.
It's kind of boring.
And
Yeah.
I mean, over time, he used to work at the Gibson Guitar Factory,
Yeah.
so he's picked up things over time. So he can play guitar now, but
Yeah.
man, I can't even play bongos. So
Yeah.
like when it comes to percussion, I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes
Yeah.
to stringed instruments, I'm almost out. So I mean, but
It's like it's different.
I started I started music with trying to learn guitar, and I just could not comprehend it. My fingers just would not do anything that I wanted them to do. Like, I couldn't do something with the pick in with my fingers. But later on, I tried bass, and I can actually use my fingers. But if
Yeah.
I used a pick on bass, it wouldn't work.
I think
But
like
if I used my fingers, it would work.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody
strange.
about this the other day. Like their kid was left-handed, and they're wanting to like pick up an instrument.
Yeah.
And but I was telling them like I'm left-handed, and for me, guitar like a lot of people whenever they're right-handed trying to play guitar and they're trying to like fret stuff, their fingers aren't doing what they want them to do because they're right-handed, so they can like pick at stuff, but they can't do the frets.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the opposite. Like I could do a G or whatever, but I wasn't like able to get the like individual notes that I wanted to or chords and stuff. And so I was like, it probably is easier being a left-handed guitarist playing on a right-handed guitar than it would be for like just if you're just 2 totally green guitarists going into it. I feel like it might be easier for a left-handed guy to fret and stuff.
well, the few guitar teachers that I know personally, they've always told me it's just best to learn the instrument as it comes.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
because if you don't know anything,
Yeah.
then you'll build up to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're the professionals, not me, so I'll take their word on it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, man. So you were in Clarksville, and then you came back, and is that whenever you started up your shop in Dickson? Was that
Well,
coming back from Clarksville, or?
well, I actually had 2 shops in Clarksville.
Mhm.
Well, the first
Oh,
shop
nice.
I was meaning to open up 2 and have
Yeah.
2 and run 2 and all that, but the water damage that happened due to the flood, there was no repairing that.
Yeah.
So we just wound up moving over to Wilma Rudolph,
Mhm.
and shortly after that, man, me and my ex-wife were having just a whole lot of problems,
Yeah.
and I decided actually I was going to retire.
There you go.
And
Hell yeah.
my dad owned some property out there at the time out in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw it, man. I will give up the shop. I literally gave it to another person, like
Dude,
lock, stock, and
dang.
barrel.
Yeah.
And we moved out east,
Mhm.
and it was either bus tables, run a go-kart place, or
Yeah.
tattoo. So
Yeah.
I got back into tattooing just because I felt a little too prideful to do the other two jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
Pride is a major issue with me.
Hey man, it's all good though. I'm like pretty much the same.
Oh, good. I got some friends in Michigan, apparently.
Yes.
But we moved out there, and when I moved back, I actually wound up opening up in Columbia for a short period of time.
That's cool.
But me and Chris Lockbeeler, we had talked for actually a few years about possibly opening up a studio,
Mhm.
and I didn't enjoy Columbia whatsoever.
Yeah, it's
I remember that shop.
Yeah, it
I
was.
think I went up there a couple times.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Columbia's not a bad town,
Mhm.
but you might not always fit someplace, and that's how
Yeah.
I felt. I wasn't a good fit for Columbia, not that Columbia wasn't a good fit for me.
Mm.
But one day he just comes into the shop and we're talking. I was like, "Look, man, are you still thinking about that studio?" He's like, "Sure." I was like, "Well, cool. Let's go open that, and I'll shut this shit down."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And this was actually the second time I gave a shop away.
Mhm.
Because when I talked to my landlord, he was like, "Look, I'd prefer you actually find somebody to take over your lease than to
Mhm.
pay off your lease."
Yeah.
So the guy I had working for me came in. I was like, "Well, you got one or two choices. One, pack your shit because I'm shutting down." He's
Yeah.
like, "Well, what's the other choice?" I was
Yeah.
like, "You can have the shop." He's
Yeah.
like, "Can I have like a week to think about it?" It's like, "You have 24 hours."
Nice.
And,
There you go.
he calls me back later that afternoon. "Yeah, I'll take it." I was like, "Cool. Just let me take my personal stuff and a few other things, and you can have everything else."
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah. And we looked around. Nashville was really our main goal.
Mm.
But everybody we talked to was like, "Have you thought about Dickson? Have you thought about Dickson? Have you thought about Dickson?" And Dickson just wound up being that.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, man, I think it was, call it divine intervention if you want to, but Dickson has done nothing but work out. Like, all
Yeah.
of my clients are great.
Mhm.
All of, just pretty much everything is great.
Yeah.
All the clients that I ever had from Nashville or other places, this is just, this is close enough to them that they
Yeah.
don't travel for it.
And it's kind of Clarksville, Nashville,
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of like almost a median, for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, when I worked out in Murfreesboro, I was losing a lot of my Clarksville people because, like, that's just too far away, and
Yeah.
vice versa, and things
Mhm.
like that. But for some odd reason, Dickson County is this just,
Yeah.
perfect hour, 45-minute drive for everybody
Mm-hmm.
to make it to. So, everything about the move to Dickson worked out.
Yeah.
And all the other shops have been nothing but cool with us. Like, we have a real good working relationship with Lotus and Dutch and
Mhm.
everybody else. So, this is where I got my start, and it wasn't always so nice.
Yeah, yeah, I can
And
imagine.
some of that
There's
was
been
my
some-
fault too, so I can't really get mad. But everybody, especially like Heather and Dutch, both have been just
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
So,
I like that, man. I like to hear that. Like, it's, I've always kind of wondered if it's a super competitive field, like an industry, if you guys were kind
I
of
feel
like,
like
how
it probably
screw
used
those
to be.
guys.
It
I feel like
Yeah.
it used to be because like back whenever tattoos weren't as popular as they are now, everybody's fighting more
Exactly.
Yeah.
to get
That, like,
money
small
basically
spaces.
because that's how they make a living.
Yeah.
So I feel like back when we first met him, it was probably
yeah.
competitive, and then now it's just everybody's
Mm.
like, yeah,
Or everybody was really assholes back then, but so was I. So it's not like I was this perfect guy. I was like, how dare y'all be mean to everybody?
Yeah.
'Cause, dude, I was like,
be nice and get along.
yeah, dude, I was like so full of piss and vinegar back in
Yeah.
my early 20s, ready to fight anything that looked at me cross-eyed. I was
Yeah.
probably worse than anybody else. But it's like music, it's like, not every band gets along, but, bands who understand that they can promote each other
Yeah.
and get
Mhm.
things going,
Mhm.
they can make everybody rise.
Well, is there a thing where, like, now that, you've been in it a little bit longer, and I
Yeah.
feel like you're definitely more well-rounded artist, but is there some stuff that you're like, man, I don't feel comfortable, like somebody comes in and they're like, dude, I want a freaking biomechanical
Man, like a list
Chinese
this tall,
dragon.
actually.
And then do you have like like people that you're like, dude, I personally wouldn't do this, but send them to this shop?
Yes,
Do you do that?
within reason. Like if
Mhm.
somebody comes in and they want something racial, which
Yeah.
happens every once in a great
Mhm.
while, I'm not referring that to nobody.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't care if it's white power, brown power, black
Yeah.
power, whatever.
Mhm.
Racism is racism. So I'm not going to refer that or.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm just going to be a flat out asshole to you.
Yeah. Hey, I don't blame you. Somebody needs to.
I mean, if they're assholes to everyone else,
Yeah.
exactly.
you might as well be able to take your own crap.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like, or something that I would consider necessarily anti. Like, someone might be a Republican, somebody might be a Democrat, but they're not a bad person because they're a Republican or
Yeah,
Democrat.
yeah, exactly.
And I'm not going to put something on your body that's like, screw Democrats or screw Republicans because, well, that's just asinine.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the same with religion. Like, I won't put, anti-Christian, anti-Buddhist, anti-that on anybody.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, well, I'm not going to do anything that's hateful. There's no reason for it.
I like that, man. That's cool.
But you'd be surprised how much flack you can get for that. I had a guy asking for a Baphomet, and
wait up.
the big goat dude.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I even told him, I was like, look, man, I'm not your artist for that, but I can refer you to this guy, and he lost his shit.
Really?
Went all over the internet. It's like, this guy's too Christian for that. And I was like,
oh my God.
Well, if you'd have looked me up just a little bit, you would have known this.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. But I think it's cool that you hold to those. I don't know if you call them morals or what you call that, but I think it's cool that
we'll
you
call them morals
that.
for simplicity's sake.
I like that. Yeah. But I think it's cool that, man. And a lot of people are some people I'm sure are just like, oh yeah, make a quick buck, or dude, I mean, what? How big of a piece you want to do? You want to do hold back? Let's charge them a few $1,000s, But I think it's really cool, man. So and then as far as sending out stuff to different people, you do have lists of people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If someone more of the neo-traditional thing, I'll usually tell them to go see Johnny over at Lotus. If we can't happen to get to him.
Really good, dude.
Johnny, dude, tell me about it, man. It's crazy. Or if someone really enjoys watercolor, I'll send them to Chris, or I'll send them to Dutch.
Yeah.
And Heather really likes a lot of the more neo-traditional stuff herself, but she, in my opinion, has a little bit more of an old school look to it.
Yeah.
Which, quite frankly, I really enjoy. So, I keep up with tattoo artists like most people keep up with players in a fantasy football league.
Dude, that's cool.
So it's no problem for me. I know who this should do.
Right here.
But man, and I readily send people to people because they readily send people to me.
That's such a good way to do it, man.
Yeah, well, that way everybody makes money, and everybody gets to make money with the way they want to.
Yes.
So instead of sitting here and trying to scrape everything that comes in the door towards yourself and doing a bunch of tattoos you give two shits about, we're all getting to do do the tattoos
that
we
is
want.
so freaking cool, man.
Which gives everybody a better
customer.
product.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
gives them a way better thing. That's freaking awesome, dude. I don't know, like, well, just really quick, this is something of mine, but Johnny actually, he's done 2 tattoos on my wife, but it's been like random. She didn't necessarily like, I want, Johnny to do it, but it just so happened she's got one on the back of her arm, and then she just got one on her calf. Freaking colors good, dude.
Yeah.
He's got, like, and he's one of those, almost like, just seemed like he just came out of nowhere, kind of, But he's got good color and stuff.
Yeah, I never even heard his name. Next thing I know, Heather's got a husband, and he's tattooing. I'm
right?
Like, what?
That's what I was doing. I was like, what the heck?
But, I've only met him once or twice. He's at least what time I got to meet him. Sorry, I started stuttering. He's been very quiet, very, very humble.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Damn.
Yeah.
But, no.
That's saying something for us.
Yeah, really.
Already.
But, just a humble guy, man.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of color, dude, I went in to GameStop. This was like maybe a year ago, maybe more than that. But Ray, was that Zelda that you did?
It was the Majora's Mask.
Yes, dude. Oh my god, I saw it and I was like,
I love
Jared?
Ray. Yeah, I love Ray to death, man.
Yeah, she's got some good stuff, man. She's a good billboard for you, dude.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, she's definitely ride or die, man. I love her to death. I love her husband too, man. I've known Andrew for a long time. So
yeah, dude. But I don't know, man. You've definitely like you pack color in and it lasts. Like if you look at Ray's now, how long ago did you do the one on her forearm?
If I'm not, I think about 3 years ago.
And it looks fresh, dude. And I think that's like a huge thing with tattoos. You can see some stuff and it fades really quick, which I guess kind of like user error too. If you're just out in the sun all day, you know, just kind of trying to bleach your tattoos out or something.
You have to baby them.
Yeah.
You have to take care of them.
Yeah. It's true, man.
Says the really pale guy over here. He's like, "What's sunlight?"
Sunlight.
No, when I first started getting my sleeve done, I worked at Walmart and I was out in the sun all the time. Like, I think I started during the summer, which was a bad idea. but it was my first tattoo, so I didn't think about it, and I was like having to wait for a minute, and then I'll have to like cake sunscreen on. And I got burned so much working at Walmart. I'm surprised that it held up the way that it did, but.
Well, so man, do you have you said it was a trial by fire with your cover-ups.
Yeah.
What happened with your first cover-up?
All right. Well, it wasn't necessarily my first cover-up, but it was always Well, at least the trial by fire part. And, I'd done a few things like, oh, you want that name covered up with a piece of black tribal? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Covered in there somehow.
yeah, the simple things.
Yeah.
But, when I was working out at Bright Ideas, one of the coolest crews I've ever had the opportunity to work with.
Yeah.
And John Knox, man, was covering up stuff that I'm looking at him doing the cover up, and I'm just amazed that it's even happening.
Yeah, you're like, how is he going to get that?
Exactly. And, anytime a cover-up walked in, the first thing the desk person would do is just yell back at him.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I remember one time, the desk girl, her name was Sarah at the time, she went back and she's like, hey, this person wants a cover-up. He's like, cool, set him up.
Yeah.
Doesn't even look.
Holy crap, dude.
And I was like, there's no way. So I go back there. I was like, man, one of these days, you're going to find something that you ain't going to be able to cover. And he's like, watch me.
Nicely done, man.
And he's all like, hey, man, so why don't you do cover-ups?
Yeah.
And I was like, because I just don't see them. I don't see how they work.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, man, you pack in color good enough and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know what? Before your time here's done, you're going to do a cover-up.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, I'm going to prove to you how easy they are. I'm going to quit looking at any of the cover-ups before I do them.
Dude.
And after 2 or 3 new cover-ups, I'm like, God, this guy's like sold his soul on the crossroads.
Yeah, right?
This person comes in looking for a cover-up, and she yells back at John, and John's like, I'm not doing it, Jared is. And
Nice.
I'm like, no, Jared's not.
Jared got this.
So I don't even know what I covered up, but the guy wanted like a blue moon, a red moon, and a gray moon with an eyeball in it. Well, I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't know what it symbolizes.
Yeah.
But I'm going back to John. I can't do this. He's like, sucks to be you. Close the curtain, and I'm like, well, okay. And somehow I managed to pull it out and do it. And I go back there, and I must have looked like I lost 10 years off my life. He's like, dude, you all right?
Whole gray beard.
And he's like, you all right, man? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, did you do the cover-up? I was like, yeah. He's like, did it work? I was like, yeah.
Dude, nice.
And he's like, so tell me how you worked it out. And I was like, dude, I just scared shitless.
Yeah.
And I was like, as I was going, I was like, I don't know what to do here, but I figured it out. And he's like, exactly. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And he's like,
dude,
I let fear run everything, and over time, as you figure out things that do work, it applies to it across the board.
Yeah.
So I went from not doing cover-ups whatsoever to taking any that I could, and eventually...
Pulling that craft.
Yeah. And eventually, over time of the, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, shit, this will work. And eventually got to where I just knew what would work.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of how the whole entire cover-up game came about.
Dude, that's freaking awesome.
Dude, fear is such a great motivator.
It really is.
It is one of the greatest motivators, actually.
Yeah. I mean, you could look at that in anything, dude. Like, you don't want to screw up this, like, fighting, pretty much, like, fighters. Like, fear going into that fight gives them that adrenaline. Dude, freaking...
Did Evelyn ever tell you about that portrait I did on her arm? That was the first portrait I had done like that. But I didn't let her know. So I'm sitting here like tattooing on my girlfriend. I'm like, I'm glad this is coming out good. She's like, what do you mean you're glad it's coming out good? I'm like, nothing. And she's like, what do you mean this is the first time? I was like, just because it's on your forearm and you were a guinea pig, you're blowing this out of proportion. So,
are you sweating just profusely?
I have a great poker face.
Nice.
So, like,
that's probably like 90% of the battle in your job, dude.
Be like, at least the lights are hot. Don't worry about it, baby.
Well, what's the weirdest tattoo request you've ever had? Like that, the freaking 3 moons in an eyeball. Like that sounds kind of like I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Shit, weirdest. That's a good question, man. There's an awful lot of weird ones. I think one of the worst ones, and I was just starting out, so I didn't have any idea that I could say no to things.
Mm-hmm.
And back when I was first starting to work in Clarksville at that one shop I eventually bought, the owner was a veteran, and we decided to do something for the Wounded Warriors Foundation. And we were doing, I think, $25 tattoos, and all the money would go to proceeds, and we really didn't think our shit through on that. But this woman comes in, and for some odd reason, she decided she wanted mom on her ass. And I was like, whatever, mom on your ass.
Yeah.
Well, essentially what she wanted was 2 M's.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Was she an older lady or no? I'm thinking old woman in my head.
I would say maybe about 45.
That's still too old to get that on your ass.
A young 45, thank God. But I'm like, I just don't think I could do this, man. Like, I'm just thinking about infection, having a tattoo, a circle around your butthole. I mean, eventually, dude... fecal matter is passing by.
Yeah, but, sometime sooner or later.
But eventually she changes her mind, thank God, to something else.
Yeah.
But,
how do you even
was she really drunk?
I want 2 M's.
Oh my God, dude. 2 M's, man.
And you have to, like, figure it out in your brain.
Oh, dude, you got...
That's pretty rough, dude.
Yeah,
that's a rough one. I've
that's
heard like
awful.
a joke that somebody is like, and that way if I do cartwheels, it says wow or whatever. It's like, whoa, mom, or wow, mom. I don't know, but yeah.
All funny tattoos are funny until, you know, about a week passes by and you're
Yeah.
like, well, this was dumb.
Yeah, I don't have a penis on my arm, and oh man, I don't know. Have you do you do the piercing at all as well too?
No. That's I found out the hard way, actually, through Chris Lockbeeler, that I had no business ever piercing. Because he was my first and only piercing that I ever performed on anybody. And, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the clamps they used to do piercings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like, you know, there's a hole that just goes, you put everything.
Yeah, it seems logical.
So, you know, I clamp his earlobe, put the needle through, pull the thing off, and somehow I went through and down through the bottom. And neither one of us to this day could figure out what I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if I can mess up something as simple as this, then I don't need to mess with
Probably
it at
not
all.
probably not gonna go with like freaking, I don't know, man.
Right.
More intricate.
Well,
piercing.
it's just not for me. And that's not saying piercing's simple, but if I can't do the simplest of the piercings, I don't even need to try to work up
the other stuff.
I'd imagine like piercing, if like that seems like a really hard thing to kind of get good at because you have to screw up. You know what I mean? Like you have to learn by screwing up somehow or know what you're not doing right. And like, can you imagine people like getting more intricate things other than their earlobes pierced? And
There's
like,
a reason I don't do it because I don't want to have to learn all
Yeah.
that. Oh yeah, man! You actually, in a form, have to learn a little bit more about anatomy than I do as an artist because you know, like let's take cheek piercings. I know a lot of artists that won't do those because you have a nerve cluster that runs through there, and you also have saliva glands that you can go through. And I mean, once you damage those, there's no fixing that.
Oh dang!
So I mean, you know, and like with the tongue, you got major veins that run through there, so you have to make sure
bleed out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not die, but you're gonna feel
bleed a
woozy.
lot. Yeah.
But yeah, there's just an awful lot to the technicalities of it that I think a lot of people don't think about. Or you know, even me being in the industry, I don't even always think about.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't even know anything about I guess I've seen like pictures and stuff like that of what your face looks like without skin. Like I've seen the anatomy books and stuff, but like I don't know, dude. I just never thought like, man, cheek piercings. You see them and you're like, all right, that looks cool, but it's probably just a needle going through your cheek.
Right.
But you don't think about like the stuff behind it. It's freaking nuts, man. There's a lot to it, dude.
There is.
There's a lot to it.
Which that's one of the biggest reasons, you know, it's not even necessarily people's talent that tattoo out of their house.
Yeah.
But people who do it illegally, you know, usually they have no formal training. They have no real concern about health.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you were a halfway decent artist, you could find a shop to work at.
Yeah.
So there's usually a real reason why someone's working out of the back of his van or working out of a basement or something like that. It's because, well, he's usually a scummy person.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
probably don't want to get that.
Back when I first started getting tattooed, like that's what a lot of people didn't understand about it. They had preconceived notions that it was just dirty or it made you like a gross person or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, tattoo shops are some of the cleanest places I've ever been in.
Oh, yeah.
We actually get inspected more often than hospitals.
Really?
Well, at least in the state of
I
Tennessee.
don't doubt it, I guess, yeah, because a lot of hospitals are like federally funded. They probably like,
well, we can't do anything here.
Yeah.
We generally get 4 inspections a year, and that's the mandatory.
Yeah.
4 random inspections a year, and you never know when he's going to show up.
Yeah.
And that's just if he's in the neighborhood and just decides he wants to do a 5th one, well, then we get a 5th one.
Oh, damn.
And of course, if you fail, you have another mandatory one that pops up, and if you fail by 1 point, well, you get the mandatory revisit.
Dang.
But, you know.
So, I mean, I'm assuming you've never had a fail on there, but do you know kind of what happens, like, if you fail?
A lot of money, actually.
Yeah.
I have failed, and I failed twice, but it wasn't for anything necessarily that we were doing wrong. Back in you could still use them, but a lot of people are going more disposable, so a lot of shops don't have autoclaves anymore because they're not necessary.
Yeah.
But autoclaves basically put all your reusable equipment in, and it puts enough pressure and heat on it to sterilize it.
Yeah.
What we have is they're called spore strips, and I always get this backwards, but I think it's about 15 pounds of pressure and 15 degrees higher than what it takes to kill anything that would ever possibly kill you.
Yeah.
So this is more resilient than any strain of Hep or AIDS or anything like that. So your autoclave has to kill it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, an overkill thing to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
Well, our autoclave was having a little bit of an issue, and it didn't go all the way.
Yeah.
So the first go around, we got a $500 charge, and we got knocked for 5 points.
I'd be so pissed at the people that sold me the autoclave.
Well, the
"Oh my
autoclave,
God."
everything goes bad after a while.
Yeah.
So it wasn't no big deal, but, we had decided, okay, until then, nothing but disposable tubes, and no piercing until we replace this.
Yeah.
And those things are expensive. Some
Yeah.
of them get like $3,000-$4,000 for a cheaper one.
Yeah.
Well, a cheaper good one. You can get smaller ones for about $500, but
Might
big
not
shot.
pass that.
Exactly. Well, he decides literally like 4 days later to pop back up. Hey,
Oh my
where's your
God.
autoclave? I was like, not even on order, man.
Yeah.
And he docked me again.
Oh my God.
And I was like, look, man, we're not even using this. We're all using all disposables, but the fact that we still had everything in its containers. We still had all the clamps and drawers and stuff like that. It was basically, we had no way of proving that we were doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
And that's when he docked me again for another 5 points, and that was a $1,500 charge.
Oh God,
So-
$2,000 in total within like
Yeah.
a week that
Yeah,
you were
exactly.
fine? Oh my God, dude.
So, but man, honestly, it's just like keeping a clean house. As long as you stay on top of things, your shop will always stay clean.
It doesn't build up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of prudence will make sure that your shop stays tip top.
Yeah.
And I mean, most people have about an 8x10, 10x10 workspace. If you can't clean a 10x10 space in 15 minutes, then you just don't need to do
You
this.
probably should be doing that in your basement. Yeah. Well, dude, so you're in Speed of Shops. You're starting a new shop,
I
man.
am starting a new shop.
And you showed me some pictures, dude. The freaking outside of it right now looks so freaking clean.
Dude,
It looks
I love it,
awesome.
man.
It looks impressive.
It's
I
all.
don't even know anything about it, so
Yeah.
I'm stoked to hear about it.
Oh, cool. Well, it's going to be in downtown Dickson, right off Walnut Street. It's for the most part the building's all new construction. We haven't exactly finished out the inside right now, but if all works out to plan, and we all know how things work out to plan most of the time,
Right.
we're hoping to have it open about mid-May, early June.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah,
that
is,
is
man.
awesome.
It is.
Well, we actually opened up the first Tempest in a week's time.
Really?
So, oh yeah.
Holy crap, dude. That's awesome, man.
Well, I have a small addiction to opening shops.
Yeah, it seems like you
Yeah,
do.
so like through the course of my career, I've been in 24 different shops.
Dang, man.
And I've managed about 4 or 5 myself, and I've helped build a few from the ground up,
Yeah.
even if I didn't own them.
Yeah.
But this will be my 5th studio that I've helped open up.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we just signed a lease on it last week, and we haven't even driven the first nail yet.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get all my ducks in a row before we get started. But until then, I am working over at a shop in Bon Aqua called Mystic Ink.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah, Danny Parker's the owner of that.
Danny,
That
yeah.
guy has been like, talk about a bro. When everything was going down, and I decided I needed to. Just get a breath of fresh air, get out of the shop in the process of trying to get this open. I called him up. I was like, hey, man, good chance I'm going to open up a new studio. Good chance
Yeah.
I might wind up working in Nashville. Basically, I just need to know, can I have a spot to work as long as I need it? And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, if you stay here a day, stay here 10 years, it's cool,
Dude,
man.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's
so-
freaking awesome.
That's freaking awesome.
So, I mean, and so far, all the shops, especially like Dutch and Lotus, they've been real supportive of,
Yeah.
my decision to move on, and which is, if nothing else, just shows how great those people are.
Yeah.
And I still talk with everybody at the old shop. So I mean, me and Chris still talk all the time. And,
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing great right now. But yeah, we're gonna call it the Inkquisition.
I freaking love that name, dude. It's so
Yeah, that's
cool.
an awesome name.
Yeah.
I just wonder how many people in Dickson are gonna get it. you
Every
know?
one of them. Like
Really?
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like me and my girlfriend, we're like, is everybody gonna get this joke? Is it too subtle? And everybody's like, hee hee. I was like, that's what I wanted.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
Nice.
and,
Give it a few test runs.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right, it's sticking.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's always just like a subtle giggle.
Yeah.
No one's like bending over backwards
Yeah.
laughing. So I'm
You
like,
just wait, it's
cool.
coming.
That's all
It's
I
coming.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Heck yeah.
yeah, I like tongue-in-cheek humor, or less subtle humor, because I
Me
mean,
too.
Tempest was just too serious. You know, it was. I know this is going to sound very hipster of me to say, but it grew too fast. It got successful too fast. It got too business-like. It got to
almost
where,
lost the personal.
yeah.
So are you still gonna own that one, or
No,
partially
actually,
own it, or you
I let
giving
my
it-
partnership go with that.
Okay.
For any other reason, it's an LLC, and I'm really not. And we even discussed it with our lawyer. There's no real way to have two separate businesses, and that be their profit, this be my profit.
Yeah.
Somehow let's be an LLC.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I did accept the LLC. Which, if I can give anyone business advice, never be an LLC.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous amount of stuff you've got to jump hurdles to.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to get like too businessy or whatever, but like with would it have been just a general partnership if not an LLC? Would that have been what y'all?
It could
done,
have
or?
worked like that,
Mhm.
but like when me and Chris were the sole owners, we were a general partnership.
Yeah.
But we had a few people advise us to do the LLC.
Yeah.
And you know, for the most part, I didn't know any better. Chris didn't know any better, and you know, Jake didn't know any better. So at the end of the day, we just, you know, with so many people advising it, we thought it was a good idea. Turned out not to be the best idea.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think that the idea was sound, but for people like us, and we're not the kind of people that need to be in LLC.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're like me, you should be an LLC. LLCs might just be great ideas for everybody else.
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. But so you're in the new company. It's sole proprietor.
I'm sole proprietor.
Nice.
It's gonna
That's
be
awesome.
it's gonna be a fairly small location, and I'm trying to turn the idea of like this big shop, because at one point in time we had 8 people in that studio.
Yeah.
And you know, it's 8 people that you gotta feed, and not that I ever had an issue with it, because I loved everybody that's ever walked through that door, and I would do anything for any of them. So it's not like a resentful, I gotta feed these people. But you know, when you don't have to necessarily dole out the work to people, when you don't have to worry about everybody else's finances, you got a lot less stress, you got a lot less you have to worry about. And I just want to go back to just me and tattooing. So
kind
I don't
grassroots almost. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, as long as I got one person in the chair at a time, then that's all I need.
Yeah.
And
Dude, it's so freaking cool.
It reminds me of, or it makes me think of like how I am and like how being a musician is. Because like when I first started, like the bigger the band, the better.
Yeah.
Like we
more
had
people,
more
just-
people, more instruments, everything was awesome. And then the older you get, the more you realize how much you can't necessarily rely on other people so much.
Yeah.
So like the older I get, the more I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do this myself.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Dude.
Well, a lot of it's also just, you know, thinking for the future. You know, it's, you know, I was in a 1/3 partnership. Now let's say somehow that 1/3 partnership lasted until it was time for me to retire. Hey kids, here's 1/3 of a partnership. Here's your inheritance. You know,
Yeah,
right.
There's there's nothing in that.
Yeah.
And you know, if something happened to me, well, I'm now a drain on that other 2 partners.
Yeah.
At least if I had my own studio, I might just be able to hire one other person.
Yeah.
And you know, I
I
might
have them as like a subcontractor or something
exactly
like that. Yeah.
And,
It just simplifies everything.
right. Which, as it stands right now, I do plan on working by myself. But since the wheels have been turning on this, I've had 2 artists from one out of state, one out of town, offer to come down for guest spots.
Dude, I think that would be the way to do it. You could have like this just be
Just like
talking,
weekends.
just an idea, but yeah, you could have like guest spots, just like one a month or something like that, and
Exactly.
have them come in and just do their stuff. I mean, there's like with Instagram and Facebook and stuff, there's no telling how many different tattoo artists that I've seen and know about now that I would have had no clue about before.
Well, social
But,
media is great.
Yeah, and they're like, you know, maybe all the way out in Nevada or something. I'm like, man, I would love to get a tattoo from this guy, but not driving all the way out there. But like, you know, if they ended up, I know a lot of them tour, you know, and just go visit different shops. That'd be freaking sick, dude.
Yeah, thanks to social media, I found out I have a cousin in California that tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, he
You
owns
never knew about him?
Never knew about
That's
it.
so freaking cool, dude.
And,
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's in the genes.
You know, I don't know how the rest of us are just a bunch of hammer swingers. Not that that's an issue, but like all my family's a bunch of badasses. You know, they can build anything, do anything. And I'm over here just a little sickly wimp kid over here. Like, I'm going to go read a
Making
book and
this
play video
freaking
games.
awesome pieces of art there.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude.
They swing hammers and you hammer nails.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, it actually turns out I have 2 cousins that tattoo. One is named James, one is named Robert.
That's so
And
cool.
Robert, he has a shop out in California called Alley Tats, I believe. And as far as James is concerned, I've never even talked to him. I just happened to find out about him.
Yeah.
And I think he actually finally moved out to California, but I think he was like in Indiana or something like that. And honestly, that dude's so much better than me. Like,
Really?
Dude, the guy's insanely good.
That's so cool, though, man. And
So-
does he own his shop out there?
I don't know
too?
if he owns a shop, actually. Like I said, I've never really spoke with him. Me and Robert's had more discussion, but it's only like here or there that we would ever talk. But
That is so cool.
we look oddly alike. And so
He's
I'm
your
like,
doppelganger, dude. Forget cousins.
oh, man,
Y'all
our
are the
gene
same
pool
dude
is
somewhere.
about as deep as a thimble. Like,
Yeah. Nice. That's good.
Ellie tats. That's another one that's
I
kind of
like
like
it,
that little.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just giggle at it because it has that little bit of.
Yeah.
That's great.
Dude. But yeah, man, and like, you know, it's kind of cool, and I'm not gonna say they like pioneered doing this by any means, but like here in Dickson, I think like with Dutch, you were talking about Dutch. He started Electric Eye, and the first time I went in there, I was expecting to see like, you know, different booths and stuff, and it was weird for me whenever I walked in, and there's the counter, and then there's his booth, and I was
Dude,
like,
he's got such a great layout in that
he
building.
does
Yeah.
though, and for like one guy, and I'm like, dude, this is really the way it could,
Right.
you know, work for a lot of people. Is that kind of how you're wanting to set it up?
Yeah, I've noticed a big trend in tattooing, especially, and not necessarily larger cities, but you know, and maybe like let's say like Knoxville size.
Yeah.
You know, you have a lot of artists who are like, why should I go and rent this big space?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I can go to my house or build something out in the garage where it's a, you know, health department inspected spot, and it's a legitimate studio.
Yeah.
But it's at their own premises.
Yeah.
So now they only got to pay one set of bills, one
Dude,
set of this,
yeah.
and as long as it's health regulated and as long as you do everything correctly, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And that's really
That's
kind of
cool,
where I
dude.
want to get. I don't.
Yeah.
The day of these big 12, 15 man shops, that's past.
Yeah.
If you're not in some big, huge city, you just can't. You can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And why would you want to? That's an awful lot of headache.
Yeah.
I want the ability to, if I just decide not to come into work, and I just don't come into work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't want necessarily to have to worry about a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, their well-being. And I know that might sound selfish, but
No,
I mean,
it's like, yeah, that's why we work pretty much.
I think social media has definitely helped with that aspect as well.
Yeah.
Because back in the day when they have huge shops with a lot of people, like they did that so that they could broadcast everybody's art around.
Network. Yeah. Exactly.
Now you can have your own Instagram and you can show your own art, and everybody finds you that way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to be at a certain place for people to find you.
Yeah.
So that's actually really smart.
Dude, I like it. Yeah. So, and you're thinking kind of like mid next month, early.
the earliest I could probably have it open would be about mid-May.
Mid-May.
Honestly, though, I think shooting for June would probably be the safer bet.
Yeah.
But it just all depends on when everything can fall together. Because I'll still be working at Mystic Ink during this time.
Yeah.
And right now my books are closed for the month of April, and I'll probably be opening them up roughly sometime in May once I get my schedule a little bit more in line.
Yeah.
But right now I'll be working at Mystic Ink, doing a few guest spots here and there. We'll be guest spotting up at Hart and Huntington on 2nd Avenue
That's
in
cool.
Nashville,
Heck yeah.
which is another killer shop.
Yeah.
And that they came out. Well, I mean, Hart and Huntington's been a shop for years, but the Nashville shop just seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they're kicking so much ass right now.
Dude, yeah.
So, like, I love all the people up there.
That's freaking
So-
sick, though, man. So then, like, whenever you guys get started, do y'all have, like, did you just get the name recently?
Man,
for
I've
the
been
shop?
sitting on this one for a long time.
Nice.
Like,
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. It's good, man.
yeah, there was a few other names, and we put them up to a vote, and it won 100%.
Yeah.
Nobody gave any kind of care to anything else. So,
Here's that.
yeah,
Nice.
so, yeah, I mean, even if I didn't want that name, I was stuck with it now.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Well, I mean, do y'all have, like, Instagram? Y'all have any social media?
we
yet?
are
Y'all
actually
got the-
releasing that today.
Hell yes, man.
so,
We'll post all the links
yeah.
on all of our stuff.
Yes.
Which this was actually where I wanted to announce publicly that we were going to be doing it.
Yes.
So.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. It, I mean, we're trying a lot with, like, a lot of different marketing and producing that we're doing right now with our live shows and stuff like that. Dude, I'd freaking love sometime, whenever you do get your shop open, if we could do a live video with it,
Absolutely, man.
Like,
Come on in.
something. I don't know what we could do. I don't know.
We'll tattoo Mom on Chris's ass.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Two M's.
Mom,
Only two
when you
M's.
wow on me, I'll just get wow. There you go.
But no, we've actually been getting like just recently we did the what was it, UFC 236
Yeah.
live. It was last Saturday, and we got a ton.
Yeah, it was like 26,000 people on there. It was freaking nuts.
And we how many comments did we have? It was like 400 something.
It was like 1,000. I think it was 4,000.
4,000. And then like within that time period of the broadcast, we went from like 700 followers or 700 subscribers on YouTube to like over 900.
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
I was about to say, when one of us gonna make this joke?
Yeah.
But it's really cool.
It's taking off, man.
Yeah, the live streams have been really fun.
I think that's kind of where it's at, man. But I've got this new thing. I'm gonna start like a new camera that actually is gonna work for our live stream, which I'm freaking stoked about. So hopefully, I'd love to do a live stream with you,
We've been
man.
using a phone.
Yeah,
to do
my
it.
wife's
yeah.
phone. I got Jody like the newest iPhone, biggest, freaking ridiculous, stupidly overexpensive iPhone, and mine like the microphone doesn't pick up at all. So
Does
like,
your wife have a sister?
yeah, Cleta.
Clayton, went to
Yeah.
school with her.
Nice. There you go. Yeah.
I was about to say, because like,
Ham sisters.
yeah. Well, I knew you married Jody Ham. I was like, I've only known one other Ham in my entire
Yeah.
life, so I was wondering if they were related somewhere.
Probably for the best that you don't know the other Ham, because there's
Oh.
another Ham as well.
Oh, there's
she's
another
a loose
Ham?
cannon, dude. She is she's loose cannon.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take your word for it.
No, but yeah, no, she's wild. But yeah, we were using her phone, man, and like, I mean, we're still using it until I get this other thing in, but it's gonna change the way we do our live streams, and it actually like does live editing while we're doing it. So like, if somebody's talking and moving their hands a lot, it will like.
Oh, so I shouldn't be doing this right now.
No.
You ruined the whole thing, man.
But hell yeah, man! So I'm excited to see your new shop,
Me
and
too.
I don't know if there's any way we can help you out with it, dude. I'd freaking love to do that too. If you need me to go smash something, which I think right now you're building
Smash.
stuff. Yeah, I probably can't smash.
I'll go break some shit if you need me to. Yeah, man, come on.
We're filing insurance later this month. Just go for it.
Yeah,
But,
we're always down for cross promotional stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
man. We'll work it out. Well, one of the plans is maybe eventually to actually start selling clothing out of it.
Yeah.
And the second name that kind of got, it didn't get any votes, but it was one of those things, if it wasn't for this is what we would have chosen.
Yeah.
We're actually thinking about doing maybe a clothing line by that name.
Hell yeah, dude.
So it'll, which I haven't exactly worked this out just yet, but you've heard of Sullen clothing and things like that?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Well, they get a lot of big name artists like Nico Hurtado to draw an image for their shirt, and
Yeah.
but let's face it, man, Nico is an amazing artist. He don't need no more advertisement.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's the little people like me who need the advertisement. So
Yeah.
go around and be like, hey, you at Alley Tats, hey man, draw me a design. We'll put it on a T-shirt. Put
Yeah.
your signature on the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And we'll do individual designs.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And you get a little kickback from the T-shirt.
I freaking love that, man.
So,
That's awesome.
If that works out, we're going to call it the Fox and Crow the clothing line.
Hell yeah.
And if you would want to, we can easily sell these shirts in the place too.
Hell yeah, man.
Actually, I wouldn't even charge y'all any form of consignment. Y'all can just,
Dude,
just be
that's
100%
freaking awesome.
profit to
Hell yeah,
y'all.
man.
That way,
That's sick.
if anything, that can just be a good way of
Yeah.
cross advertising.
Yeah,
So,
hell yeah.
for sure.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Well, dude, I think we're about to run out of memory space on this one. I'm gonna have to get a new memory card for that guy. But hell yes, man. Thank you so much for getting on your
problem,
list,
no
brother.
problem.
Thank you. I'm so stoked for your new shop.
Yeah, I'm stoked too. I thought, like, when I first heard about it, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so stoked for that.
Well, holler at me sometime, man. I'll bring y'all out to the studio. And
Definitely,
y'all can
dude.
see it before we break things.
Yeah, yeah. And really quick, where can people find you at, man? Like, you on Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, and all that as well, too?
Well, right now, my main Instagram is still just Jared Warf Tattoo, and I'm very fortunate that even though I don't have a unique name on social media,
Yeah.
I do. I'm the only
Nice.
Jared Warf on MySpace,
There you
Facebook,
go.
Instagram, all of it. So
Yeah.
I'm not a hard guy to find.
There you go.
But as far as my work, it's Jared Warf Tattoo, and we haven't made an Instagram for the shop just yet, but we do have a Facebook page,
Okay.
and it's just the Inkquisition Tattoo Collective.
Nice.
So
There you go. Well,
Can you
hell yeah,
spell
man.
that?
look us up. Inquisition?
Yeah.
3 times fast. INKQUISITION.
Okay, awesome.
Nice.
Because I was like,
Don't quote me on that
I was
completely,
thinking about
though,
it
'cause-
myself because I was like, if I type this in, I'm not sure if there's a K and a Q
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
what.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
But all right, brother. Well, we're going to end this podcast, but thank you very much for getting
Thank
on
y'all
here,
for
man.
having me out, man.